Let me tell you a little secret that absolutely no one told you in school. If hard work alone made people wealthy, your parents would probably be millionaires, right? And, well, you wouldn't be watching this explainer right now. But here you are. You wake up early, you rush out the door, you commute, and you grind all day long. And by the time night falls, your body is tired, but your mind is just completely exhausted. So, why does money seem to just vanish faster than it comes in? You know that feeling, right? Sitting there in those quiet moments, wondering why you're still behind despite working so incredibly hard. Let's be real. You probably aren't even asking for yachts or private jets. You just want peace. You want an end to that knot in your stomach at the end of the month, the panic when a random bill shows up, and the frustration of feeling stuck. Well, here's a pretty harsh truth we have to face today. The world doesn't actually reward effort. It rewards thinking. Seriously, if just grinding away was the magic ticket, your life would look completely different by now. Today, we are going to unpack the exact mindset that separates the ultra-wealthy from the middle class. And fair warning, it might feel a little uncomfortable because it exposes exactly why so many hardworking people stay financially stuck for life. Section 1. The middle class trap and the invisible difference. Okay, let's dive into this. There's this incredibly dangerous belief we pick up living a middle-class life. If I just work harder, things will change. But do they? Years go by and nothing really shifts. The thing is, escaping the financial struggle isn't about your IQ or your college degree or where you grew up. The true separator is that invisible difference. It's your mental programming. It's exactly why one person looks at a problem and completely freezes, while another person looks at that exact same situation and sees a massive, life-changing opportunity. Think about it like this. Most people aren't struggling because they don't earn enough. They're struggling because they think too small. Look at our childhood programming. Study hard, get a good job, play it safe. Middle-class thinking just blindly accepts this reality. But billionaires, they grow up questioning all of it. They ask, wait, why does it work this way? Who's actually making the money here? Remember, whoever questions the reality is the one who controls it. Moving on to Section 2. Money equals power. It's a tool, not a character trait. You know, you hear people say all the time, oh, I don't really care about money. It sounds super humble on the surface, right? But honestly, that often just hides a deep-seated fear. Society programs us to think money is inherently bad. But money doesn't create character, it just reveals it. The ultra-wealthy don't see money as good or bad, they just see it as a neutral tool. Specifically, a tool of power. The power to solve massive problems, make a real impact, and absolutely, most importantly, control your own time. If you deliberately avoid money, you're avoiding power, and powerless people are forced to depend on others. This really brilliantly illustrates the difference between salary thinking and owner thinking. Sure, a salary gives you comfort, but here's the catch. Comfort completely kills hunger. When your whole livelihood hinges on one single paycheck, your brain naturally goes on the defensive. But owner thinking, it absolutely hates dependency. Billionaires aren't out there chasing higher salaries, they're chasing control and leverage. They want ownership so that even if they take a month off, the value and the income just keep flowing. Section 3. Chasing problems, not comfort. Now, what's really interesting about this is how differently we view everyday annoyances. Most people spend their entire lives running away from problems, right? Traffic, terrible customer service, sky-high prices. We just complain about them. But a billionaire? They are sprinting directly toward them. They see traffic and think, time to build a transport business. They get slow service and launch a tech startup. They see high prices and create a cheaper alternative. Every huge problem is literally hiding money. The bigger the problem, the fewer people are willing to fix it, and that's exactly where true opportunity lives. To actually act on those opportunities, though, you have to completely flip your relationship with risk. The middle class operates on a huge fear of failure. Nobody wants to look foolish or make mistakes, so they play it incredibly safe. But let this sink in for a second. Billionaires fear stagnation far more than they fear failure. For them, comfort is the ultimate enemy. Since they aren't terrified of failing, their whole approach to chaos is entirely different. Their motto is basically, fail fast so you can learn even faster. They get that failure hands you harsh, real-world lessons that you could never, ever learn in a classroom. That's exactly why they always look so incredibly calm when the economy tanks or a business crisis hits. They've navigated that chaos before. Which brings us to Section 4. Time is the real currency, the ultimate asset. So we've talked a lot about money and problems, but we really need to shift gears to the ultimate asset, time. If you want to change your financial programming, you have to drastically recalibrate how you value your days. The poor approach is always asking, how much does this cost? People will literally spend hours just to save a few pennies. But the billionaire approach, they ask, how much time does this save? They know they can always make another dollar, but there is absolutely no way to print a single extra second of time. They guard their focus like it's gold. So how exactly do they protect that time? They follow these 3 relentless steps. 1, they delegate early. 2, they automate often. And 3, they say no easily. They don't have this ego about doing absolutely everything themselves. They solely focus on the few things that actually matter and move the needle. And that leads us to a massive paradigm shift from our source material. If something wastes time, it's expensive, even if it's free. Think about waiting in line for 3 hours just to get a free donut. To a billionaire, that free pastry actually just cost them thousands of dollars in lost productivity. Crazy, right? Let's move to Section 5, Leverage and the Long Game, Escaping the Rat Race. This is where we really bring it all together. This is the actual mechanism for permanently escaping the rat race. We're talking about leverage. It simply means doing less and earning more by stepping outside your own physical limitations. You use other people, technology, capital, and media to multiply your efforts. You finally stop trading 1 hour of your life for 1 hour of pay. Because once you figure out leverage, you realize this insane truth. Just one single smart system absolutely beats 20 years of manual, back-breaking labor. One properly leveraged idea can literally do the work of thousands of people. But to build that kind of leverage, you need a totally different relationship with time. The crowd wants results yesterday, right? They think in months, and because of that, they quit the second things get hard. But the billionaire timeline? They play the long game. They think in decades. They are perfectly content planting seeds today, knowing full well that most people just don't have the patience to wait for the harvest. That patience is an unfair advantage. Look, the reality of wealth creation is actually pretty unglamorous. You have to be completely boring with your money. Impulse buying to impress your neighbors, chasing flashy trends, that stuff destroys wealth. Building it requires zero emotion, zero ego, and deliberately delaying pleasure so your growth can actually compound. Plus, you have to actively put yourself in rooms where you're the smallest fish because growth literally never, ever happens in your comfort zone. Now, if you're recognizing some of your own habits here today, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not broken. Your thinking was just programmed by your environment, by society, by how you grew up. But the amazing news, that programming can totally be changed. You can literally overwrite the code starting right now. It just takes a deliberate decision every single day. Stop thinking like the crowd and start thinking like an owner. Force yourself to value your time way more than your money. Stop chasing comfort, stop being terrified of making a mistake, and start actively tackling real problems. Even the slowest progress compounds massively over time. The absolute second you stop thinking like everyone else is the second your life separates from the pack. Financial peace isn't just about luck, it's a choice. You now know the invisible differences that separate the struggling from the ultra-successful. So the only question left to ask yourself is this: your thinking was programmed. Will you change the code?